Donald Trump is the biggest snowflake in the history of humanity.
The media now is up in arms talking about Jimmy Kimmel, but Jimmy Kimmel is a millionaire. He's gonna survive.
These racists have always existed. They never went away. It was that they were shamed and shunned into not saying this stuff out loud.
Nobody has been talking about the people who lost their livelihood, their careers, their green cards for being pro-Palestinian. Nobody is talking about that.
This is a very American authoritarianism. Own it. You don't have to always blame brown and black people for your problems.
And he was one of the people who perpetrated the 40 decapitated babies, and he shamelessly said no.
Never in my life did I think I would see 53% of the American public have an unfavorable view of Israel.
12,000 people in Wembley Stadium. They have like 2 Avengers on the stage. And the media, nothing.
If Mamdani wins in November, that will be earth-shattering in many ways. They're going to deny federal funding. They're going to send troops for sure. And he says he's ready for a fight.
Would any of you, if received an invitation to perform in Israel?
No.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Good evening, Dearborn, Michigan! Woo! What a great city! So without any further ado, let's get an Arab on stage. The man, the myth, the legend, Bاسم Yusuf.
No, Dearborn. Hey, let's give a nice warm welcome to the token Indian in the crowd today.
I'm Mehdi Hassan.
And I'm Bاسم Yusuf.
And we're not kidding!
We're not kidding! Now,
Live! We're doing a live taping of the show at ArabCon in Dearborn, Michigan, Bاسم.
yes, but every time you start asking the question, you're in my hometown now. You are like, this is my people. So I want to start first of all, before I start the question, like, you should actually check out, like, it's beautiful here. First of all, they have the best, there's a place you need to go, it's called BT's. And it is amazing. It's a strip club. And
but I hear.
No, wait.
I hear.
It has strip club and it has a great halal wings.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I heard that. I heard that even the strip clubs have halal meat here. Mashallah.
Yeah. The Ramadan menu here is amazing, and you can't get dates. You have other kind of dates, but and you know all of those things that like being said about you from like those horrible people, you know, like American food. They haven't been to BT's. You should actually invite them.
You should invite the Republican Party to Dearborn strip clubs with the halal wings, and that will solve Islamophobia.
Exactly. I love how we like going on here and like you have like metal detectors as if we want to remind you with your airport experience. Thank you so much. But first, I want to start this. Like, first of all,
why are you starting? Because
I'm starting because this is my hometown. This is my people. I mean, no, I'm in California, better weather.
I mean, because ArabCon, it's your people. They're not my people.
Yes. So, like, no, they're all our people. But like, I want to actually, I'm curious because I wanted to ask you, since I saw this incredible Jubilee episode, amazing. You really like kicked their asses. I loved it. It was a joy to. But there is like one particular part in this when you were meeting with the Hulk. The Richie, the green guy, he was about to transform. And I think we have a clip. Do we have a clip?
Mehdi.
What is it?
Mehdi.
You're from northern UK, I guess?
I'm from London, North London.
Okay, fair enough. What's your ethnic background, if you don't mind asking?
My parents are from India.
Okay, perfect. Just getting premise here. First of all, I want to say
the premise of Donald Trump being pro-crime?
No. I want to concern myself with why you care about what's happening in the U.S., first and foremost. Secondly, I want to say this.
Should people who live in the US not care about?
Let's not interrupt each other. Because I have this thing, like people know I have this thing. I have to stay calm, okay? So.
Okay.
No,
he was even in a green T-shirt.
I know, he was.
It was very Hulk-like.
But like, how is it? What was the experience of actually debating these ideas out loud? Like people would say, like, people were so comfortable showing this side of them, and how was it like we were in the room and sitting them and talking with them like that? It's just like
it was without a shadow of a doubt the weirdest thing I've ever done in my professional career.
Yeah.
2.5 hours in a warehouse in East LA with the wannabe Hulk and a guy who was like, I'm a fascist.
Yeah.
And
this
get out of our country.
And the Persian cowboy.
Oh, the Persian
cowboy.
You know, every
Houdini.
Iranian friend of mine called me after that show to say, can I apologize on behalf of all of the Iranian people? He was like a kind of Zorro meets Batman villain.
Yeah.
Those of you who saw that very strange man who didn't want to accept that he was also an immigrant, the rest of the people used to think racism will die out with age. All the old white folks in Mississippi and Alabama, they'll die out, and the new generations all, no, these were young people. Right, these were people in their 20s and 30s, unafraid to say ridiculous things. And that guy was like, I mean, put yourself in my position. I go there thinking I'm going to do some intellectual debate like a fool. Right, I go there with all my receipts and my stats, and I sit down, and this guy's like, I have to stay calm, or something will happen to me. This is like 5 minutes in. I'm like, oh shit, I got 2 hours of this. I mean, I took security with me, but I was like, did I bring enough security with me? And by the way, serious note, the Guardian newspaper, after that went out, investigated some of the people who were there. And they found out that Richie is an alleged extremist who's organized protests and violent riots with the Proud Boys in California. So like, this is the kind of person who was in the room. And people are like, is there value?
Like, how was your Sunday? I was debating a Nazi.
I was debating. And people say to me, how did you stay so calm? And I'm not a very calm person. I'd lose my temper quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not that I was calm. It was more I was stunned into speechlessness. It takes a lot to shut me up, right? My wife and kids will say, he doesn't shut up. That day, for 2 hours, I was like, it was a very dark moment. And people who are not afraid of saying outrage, these racists have always existed. Let's not be under any illusion. They never went away. It was that they were shamed and shunned into not saying this stuff out loud. And we now live in an era where one of our two political parties and multiple media channels have encouraged them to come out and say this stuff out loud, unashamedly.
And also been rewarded now.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh yeah. You get clicks,
like,
you get money,
say whatever. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
100%. But, that is the moment we're in now. And I think, that's LA, Bاسم, by the way.
Yeah.
That's your city.
That's my city. I imagine being in that Jubilee, that's going to be crazy.
But look, their argument is we should be able to say whatever we want. It's so interesting. All of you in this room, many of you I'm sure, we're in Dearborn, I can see many of you in this room are Muslims. Muslims have been told that we don't believe in free speech for so long. Go back to Charlie Hebdo, go back to Prophet cartoons. You guys don't understand free speech. And for the last few months, we have seen epic hypocrisy day after day. I was told that Jubilee people can be racist because it's their right to free speech. But if you're Jimmy Kimmel, as a late night comedian, do you have any free speech?
Well, here's the thing about Jimmy Kimmel. A lot of people, like, of course, something happened to Jimmy Kimmel that's terrible, but I've been asked, because of my own experience, what do you think of, Jimmy Kimmel being shut down? And I said, yeah, I feel sad, of course, but the media now is up in arms talking about Jimmy Kimmel, but Jimmy Kimmel is a millionaire. He's gonna survive, right? And what happened to him is wrong, but nobody has been talking about the people who lost their livelihood, their careers, their residency, their green cards for being pro-Palestinian. Nobody is talking about that. And I find it, this is the hypocrisy, really.
Yeah. Well, I saw people going on television, on cable, and saying, this is Donald Trump's biggest assault on free speech. Oh, no. And I'm like, they took a young Turkish student in a hijab on her way to iftar and detained her for months because she wrote an op-ed for her newspaper saying maybe we should divest from Israel.
Yeah.
And they locked her up. Rumeysa Öztürk.
And not just that. Okay, let's say because she's Turkish, she's not American. What happened, if you don't want to talk about free speech, what happened to all of these student protests in American colleges? All of these U.S. student colleges, and they stood there, and they broke them. They doxed them. They ruined their careers. They put them on blacklist. They put them on canary mission. Everything. That's not an assault on the free speech. That's crazy.
Just out of interest, we're in Dearborn, Michigan. Who here attended the college protest, the student campus protest? I respect a lot of the people who have stood up.
Alive? He's still around. You're good?
That-
Alhamdulillah. Tamam.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, this is where we are. What's interesting, though, I'll tell you why the Jimmy Kimmel thing interests me, is because it's not just, okay, the assault on free speech. You don't want to live in a country, Bاسم, a lot of people in this room, you, me, my parents, your background, come from places where you don't want to live in a country where the president says the comedian can't make fun of me, right? And that is fundamentally why people got so upset about the Kimmel issue. And the Kimmel issue is interesting to me is because it reminds us that Donald Trump is the biggest snowflake in the history of humanity, right?
Yeah.
He's so thin-skinned.
Remember when cancel culture was a liberal thing?
Yeah.
It was like a hippie thing, but this is what I'm worried about. The problem is much deeper than Donald Trump, because it's the broadcaster. When you live in a capitalist democracy, capital is king. Now you have people, because they say, oh, you have free speech, you can say whatever you want, but not on my platform. And you see now our platforms being bought one by one. Larry Ellison, he's buying NBC, Paramount,
maybe
HBO,
CNN, TikTok, yeah.
And now the danger, it's not because of Trump, but those billionaires are forever. And now, I think we are being censored on these platforms, the same platform being protesting, and we are all now being part of this machine. You know, I have like a touring comedy hour now. I call it the belly of the beast, because we are living in that belly of the beast. Everything that we do feeds that machine. Like our banking operations, our online activities, everything, it goes through there. Like if you fly a plane, it is made by Lockheed Martin and Boeing. If you're on Google, they already have a $45 million deal with Israel for propaganda. It's crazy that we are being fed to the same machine that's killing us. And I don't know, even us as Arab diaspora, I don't know what to do with this. And because we're helpless, we're in this, like we're paying our tax. They say this joke, it's like we're helping our people back there with Western Union, and we're screwing them over with TurboTax. Because they're taking our money and use it to hurt the same people that we want to help. It's crazy.
It's interesting, you're describing a very American phenomenon, right? It's capitalism is driving this, corporations are driving this, as you say. This is systematic. This goes beyond Donald Trump, although Donald Trump is a whiny little snowflake. But what's interesting is that when we talk about America losing its democracy, the way it's discussed, especially in liberal media, is as some foreign phenomenon. Oh, we're becoming like those African,
like China.
Yeah, we can become like China and Russia and
Korea,
Middle East, and it's like, this is a very American authoritarianism. Own it. Own the damn authoritarianism. You'd have to always blame brown and black people for your problems. And I think that's, we talk about white supremacy and Nazism. This is not stuff imported. This was stuff that was in the US 100 years ago. This was stuff in Jim Crow. And there's this innocence project, right? That America was so innocent until Donald Trump came along.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we became like North Korea.
I remember when they were describing those like white supremacists. Oh, like we have white ISIS. Stop using our terminology to describe your shit. You have yours.
100% true. Now we have this debate over political violence. I got to ask though, you mentioned the Ellison family. There's a lot going on the free speech front. Marco Rubio, so actually, I want to be a little bit positive, Bاسم.
No.
Yeah. You said, I don't know what to do, we're powerless. Actually, you saw pressure on Google recently. They've just announced that they're not going to be funding some of the surveillance they were funding Israel, because of reporting from Dropsite News. Because of reporting from Microsoft, sorry. Yeah. Because of reporting from independent media. Independent journalism got these guys to back off. No, don't be negative. Don't be negative.
Allow me to be negative.
Don't be negative.
I want to be pessimistic. I'm an Arab. I am allowed to be pessimistic. Here's my thing with this. Okay. Let me give you like a timeline.
Okay.
Remember under the Biden administration, every time, what Israel is doing is bad. We might stop the weapons. And then they continue. I think this is a little bit of, it's like they're giving us tranquilizers every now and then. Right? And then maybe a few months ago, Microsoft will continue funding it, but in a different way.
But we need to be vigilant.
I think we have been played. Like, how many times when Donald Trump came up, it's like, what happened in Gaza is bad. The next day, Gaza is.
He just said today, I think we're close to a deal. Yeah. He said it at the Ryder freaking Cup, he's at golf, coming up with peace plans.
I think we are celebrating too much with the breadcrumbs that they give us every now and then. It is, and we get emotional. It's like, oh, look at this. They said that Israel is bad. Right. Remember, like now everybody's like, oh, the UN and 87% of the experts now say that it's a genocide. No kidding.
Yeah.
No shit, really?
Or you see Hollywood actors coming out very late in the day, and you're like, where were you for 2 years?
I don't care about Hollywood actors. I'm just talking about the people in power that are feeding us all of these things, making us believe that like we have little victims. Oh my God!
All right.
Like Piers Morgan changed his mind. No. I came on his show and I told him, you are the real Iron Dome of Israel. Whatever you're doing this just because you want to maintain your credibility, pretending to ask the tough question when it is safe now. But for a year and a half, he fought us on every single hospital being bombed that is bombed by Hamas. For a year and a half. And I hope you're listening, Piers, and he was one of the people who perpetrated the 40 decapitated babies, and he shamelessly said no. And he
called him out on that.
He continues to push the rape hoax that didn't happen. He continues, him and Jake Tapper and all of those like assholes. And then they come now and when they say, oh, look, he gave a tough interview to that Israeli extremist. We should not celebrate this because they are really yanking our chains. I am done with like, oh my God, he's white and he's with us. I'm done.
Okay, I'm going to keep trying, Bاسم, to get through to you. Let me try again. Marco
Try
Rubio.
harder.
I'm trying.
Ooh.
I'm trying. Marco Rubio. I had to put up. Like you, I had to go off to Piers Morgan as well for you. By the way, wouldn't it be, if Bاسم did a Jubilee, I think it should be Bاسم versus 20 Piers Morgans. That would be good. I'd watch that.
This would be the most annoying Jubilee ever because I will have 20 questions. Do you condemn Hamas?
Do you condemn Hamas? For the whole
Do
clock
you condemn
running.
Hamas? Do you condemn?
So
do you condemn? But I condemn. Do you? I condemn. Condemn me and you. Yes, condemn.
So, Brian Mast, Republican congressman.
Yes.
Who wore an IDF uniform to work after October 7th.
I said he lost his legs, then he lost his balls and his honors.
He is one of the most racist people in Congress, and that's saying a lot because there's a big competition for most racist member of Congress. He had a bill which would give Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, the power to strip Americans of their passports if they took a position on the Middle East, if they support terrorism, which is such a vague position.
What the?
But interestingly, they've now stripped that provision because of pressure from the left and the right, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
What did you make of that saga?
Again, they are always, this is what they do, and I hope you notice this. They always test your limits. They know that this will not pass today. Remember when they were like passing the whole thing about like redefinition of anti-Semitism, right? And then they went in as like, oh, we're gonna have like Israeli flags in Beverly Hills, and then they push back. They push and they see where it's gonna yield. But the fact that they have the audacity to write a bill that goes totally against the First Amendment like that means that's on their mind. Remember when everybody was telling people, hey, they want to push the Palestinians into Egypt. They want to have greater Israel. I was like, no, that's ridiculous. And now they're talking openly.
He says openly.
They're talking about, so I stopped kind of reveling in these little victories because I know that the fact that he actually proposed it, it means that it might be coming, maybe in a couple of years, 3 years. It's dangerous.
Okay, so I don't disagree with your analysis, Bاسم. Obviously, these people want to seize as much power as possible. They are cynical, they are despicable, they are dishonest, they gaslight us, they are authoritarians. My point is that I'll take that small victory and I'll try and build for a bigger victory. Because I don't want to roll over and say, you've won, you've beaten me, you've defeated me.
You're so easy. You're so easily optimistic, guys.
I'm not optimistic. I'm the least optimistic person you've ever met. I'm a pessimist. I wake up every day and say, it's going to be a shit day.
Yeah.
Right? But there's a difference between hope and optimism, Bاسم. I keep hope alive, but I'm not optimistic. I think things are going to get worse before they get better.
I have neither.
You're just a nihilist.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of Brian Mass, big shout out for hey Queen, our pink queen here, Medea.
Big queen.
Yachty. She's the one who's cornered him and other.
Not just corner. Well, by the way, Kamala Harris is on a book tour right now, and people are protesting her.
I have an idea for the title of the book.
I mean, it's already done, but yeah.
Unread.
She's on her book tour. People are protesting her, and then you have all these defenders of Harris being like, "Why does nobody protest Trump? Why do they only protest Democrats?" I'm like, did you see the Code Pink people who literally went to Donald Trump's restaurant and called him Hitler? And he said, and because he's such a whiny little snowflake, he said, I'm going to arrest them all. We're going to prosecute them. We're going to look into it. We live in a country where the president cannot be heckled at dinner, cannot be laughed at by a late night comedian, and is also the one thing that some people thought he would be better on. Not me, but some people thought he'd be better on was the Middle East. I want to play a clip to you, Bاسم, of something he said recently in the Oval Office, because you just brought up the kind of hoaxes that some journalists have pushed. President Biden, you'll remember, said that he saw pictures of beheaded babies. One of the big lies he told. Here is Donald Trump speaking recently. I think we have a clip.
Did anybody commit genocide on October 7th? What do you think about that? That was genocide at the highest level. That was murder, genocide, you can call it whatever you want. But little babies were chopped in half. Arms were cut off people. Heads were cut off people. That's genocide. That's genocide also, I guess, right?
We are approaching the second anniversary of October the 7th, and the sitting president of the United States is claiming that little babies were chopped in half.
I have a theory.
Okay.
No, seriously, it's a theory. Remember when they attacked Iraq, what was the name of the operation? It was like shock and awe, right? It's the same thing with media. Now, American citizens, they running around trying to, pay their bills. They're like, like locked in their daily lifestyle. And then whatever time they have Netflix and NFL and NBA and MMA and gaming and all of that. And they have a very small window for them to follow the news. They hit that window. I remember after October 7th, I was scared to go on Piers Morgan because I believed that babies were beheaded and people were burned, because that is how much of a shock they did. Now, they do that and they know that people will start questioning it. But by the time people starting to questioning, the shock has already been done. There are people now, until 2 years. Donald Trump is a representative. I know that he's full of shit, but he's a representative of what many Americans think that what happened. Because 3 months ago, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, he was on the steps of the Congress and he said the same thing.
Mike Huckabee said it on Piers Morgan minutes before I went on Piers Morgan, and nobody stopped him.
So it's the same thing. So the thing is, they know that They don't care about you. They're talking about the masses. They're talking about the masses. They only have this because we are locked into the conflict because we care about it. The people, anybody who cares, but the regular average citizen have this little small window where they hit, and whatever emotional damage is done, it is done and it stays forever. You go down to Middle America, they will think, oh, decapitated babies, rape, it still happened. So this is the problem. Why they do? They know it's like, what Hitler used to do, the Blitzkrieg, the flash attack. And they have been very successful. They call it
flooding the zone with shit.
Yes,
the strategy.
They do that, and then the same thing with 9/11. Does anybody talk about the passport that was found in 9? No, it's oh, it's already done. It's already done. It's passed. You think you talk about, but other people, the emotional damage has done. Nobody is there that they have to question anything. Charlie Kirk. No one believes that this is the sniper, the gun that was used. It is so much full of plot holes.
Bاسم.
We don't know who did it, but at the same time, the damage has done.
It was a left-winger.
The public execution, all of that makes it very impossible for people to question anything, right? And this is how they were successful. I just want to point out this because this is how their media and their propaganda have been doing for the past, I don't know how many years.
Well, the great irony of Trump is that he reserves the right to question everything, but no one else. So he can say, don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant, because he's a medical doctor now. Apparently, the guy who told us to put disinfectant in our veins during the pandemic. But he can question everything, every conspiracy theory he'll push. But now we live in a country now, if you question anything else, students are being deported because they made a joke about Charlie Kirk. Like, this is insane times we live in. But I won't let you take me down that road. I will remain hopeful.
Well, so far, I think that pessimism is winning.
I'm a pessimist.
No.
But you got to keep hope alive.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this.
Well,
okay.
I'm hopeless.
Okay. Hold on. You just said that the masses are being kind of brainwashed and gaslit and, bullshitted by Trump. I agree. And yet, I will tell you, I've been following this issue of Palestine my entire adult life. And for much of my childhood, I've been campaigning, I've been talking, I've been advocating from the UK to the US. Never in my life did I think I would see 53% of the American public have an unfavorable view of Israel. For the first time, only 8% of Democrats support what is happening in Gaza. 8%, not 18, not 80, 8% of Democrats. 50% of Americans, despite all the propaganda, say it's a genocide. Imagine if they didn't have the propaganda, that number would be much higher. But 50% with all the propaganda, all the beheaded babies, all the Trump bullshit, all the gaslighting. So I do think there is some hope. Yes, it took a genocide to actually get people to talk about this stuff, which was an unbearable cost. But don't smile at me like that.
Because I'm just waiting until I instill my little bit of pessimism on this.
Okay, Shaitan, over to you.
Here's the thing. I think the United States and Europe is slowly turning to the Middle East in so many ways, but particularly in this way. You know how in the Middle East, we know that the people in power are full of shit. We know that the authority is full of shit. We know that we don't have a democracy, but we don't speak out out of safety, because they have the power, they have the money, they have the control, they have the authority. So we kind of have this like unwritten rule. Yeah, I know that you're full of shit, but you're my I can't do anything. I'm worried that we are heading this way, that now it doesn't matter if you have thousands of people marching in the streets. It doesn't matter that they're like 53% more. They still have the power to either intimidate you or use the money to win the elections in mass. Like they spend up to $20 million per seat in Brooklyn. The problem is that you have now, has been becoming a dynamic that we have seen in the Middle East for years. It's the people versus the authority. Now, the whole thing about the American authority representing the people is not happening anymore. We are turning pretty much into slowly a fascist country. But it's much more elegant. Instead of like the government shutting you down, it's the corporate taking away your license. Instead of you putting me in jail, they will put money against you in order to put you. And instead of like them arresting you if you go to a protest, they will not air it. They will, like you were in Wembley, you were like a full, like sold out.
Yeah, it was 12,000 people.
12,000 people in Wembley Stadium. It was one of the biggest rallies for Palestine. They have like 2 Avengers on the stage, and the media, nothing. So for the rest of the people, this event didn't even happen. And this is my problem with what's happening. Yes, because people at the end of the day are humans.
Yes.
Will change their minds. But what I'm worried is that the government now is not the government that we used to 20 years ago.
100%.
That's my problem.
No. That's why I was so
Mission
adamant.
accomplished.
But
pessimism.
No. But that's why. No. Pessimism is me. I'm the guy who spent all of 2024 saying Donald Trump will make things worse. People here remember. Some people got mad at me for saying that, right? I know that. I was super pessimistic.
I still win.
I was the guy saying, if he wins, we will lose our ability to protest.
I still win.
I don't remember you saying that.
No, I said I don't care about either of them.
Yeah,
because
I was saying it would get worse, and it has got worse, and now you're saying it's going to be fascist, so I win that argument. But let me tell you this.
It's a misery context.
You mentioned 2 Avengers on stage. You live in LA. What do you make of Hollywood? Actually, for me, Hollywood was a horrible place where they were classic peps, progressive except Palestine, right? The liberals in Hollywood were really good on every issue except Palestine, where it was like Mark Ruffalo and no one else. Now you're seeing 5,000 people have signed this letter from Hollywood saying we won't allow our movies and our work to be part of the Israeli film industry or benefit the Israeli occupation. You have, I think we have a clip actually, a great moment from the recent Emmys where Hannah Einbender from Hacks, wonderful Jewish actress, comedian, spoke on stage. I think we can play what she said.
I just want to say, finally, go Birds, and free Palestine. Thank you.
That was the network that cut out what she said about ICE, not us. But that was a moment.
Get
right?
it from YouTube.
That was a moment? Was that a moment?
That's a great moment. That's a great moment. And again, I'm worried about her career, where it's going to go afterwards. My problem is that they are so powerful now, they make an example out of you, right? And you understand that we're all being surveilled now by Palantir. We're all in their pocket. It's crazy. And I'm just like worried about like their reach and their power. It just, you know how we like in our countries, we were kind of like, you know, entry-level dictatorships, right? But now it is advanced and rich and powerful, right? And that's what's scaring me, that if they're going to do surveillance, if they're going to do oppression, they have the ability and the resources to go all the way.
I'm going to keep fighting this battle with you, Bاسm. I get that the technology makes things much worse and much more dangerous. But technology is a double-edged sword. That same technology has allowed Palestinians in Gaza to get their message out to the world. That same technology has allowed us to organize and protest and rally. There is a wonderful African-American academic who, I'm embarrassed to say his name is I'm forgetting, but we'll add it to the show notes, who says our ancestors fought worse with less. And I think we need to remember that the people who came before us had a much bigger uphill challenge, whether it was slavery, whether it was civil rights. We can actually overcome the Palantirs and the Netanyahus and the media freaks who want us to look away from what's going on. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Again, I'm not optimistic. It's not going to happen tomorrow or next week. It's not going to come without people being made an example of, but it's going to come.
Why are you pointing at you?
No.
People are pointing
not you, not you.
It's like,
not
hey,
you.
Palantir, take your sacrifice.
No. I've made my sacrifices. Okay, I refuse. We're going to go to the audience in a few minutes, but I refuse to leave here on a non-hopeful note.
By the way, about like hope. Like you had like a wonderful interview with Mamdani. That was a great interview. How was that? That was a...
Wow. Who are you and what'd you do with Bاسm Yusuf?
No, like, because I'm a huge fan of Mamdani anyways.
I mean, does he not fill you with a little bit of hope?
Yeah, he does. For a bit.
So I win the argument.
For a little bit.
For a little bit. I mean, I actually think...
No, I mean, like we have to leave the people. I mean, they left 4 weddings and they came here. I mean, it's good that you left weddings here already end in divorce. So it's just fine. But
hey, it's your town, not mine. You can say this stuff.
Oh,
how
yeah.
come there's no IndiaCon? How come there's no IndiaCon?
IndiaCon is everywhere. You guys are everywhere. You guys could... All of America is IndiaCon. All of the tech, like from the tech to 7-Eleven. You were
going to say 9/11.
Yeah, that's ours.
You were going to say 9/11.
Actually,
it's the worst possible thing you could say at Arab Con with me tonight in Dearborn.
No, it's fine. Like all of the police officers are named Abdullah. It's amazing.
Seriously, one of the police officers, his name is Arab. Literally Arab.
It's like my name is Arab. He says it like a southern, like my name is Arab.
That's why we love Dearborn, Michigan. Hope, come on. Mamdani is a very interesting person. Some people got mad at him recently because of an interview he did. I did an interview with him this week in which I asked him about something he told me a year ago when he was a nobody. He was on 1% in the polls. He's a state assembly member from Queens. I had him on the show. It was kind of a pity interview. I was like, who is this guy? Let's give him a chance. And we get him on in December.
Look how the tables
have turned. Yeah. He said at that interview, you know, if Benjamin Netanyahu comes to New York when I'm mayor, I'll arrest him because there's an ICC arrest warrant out for him. And, yeah, just missed it. But by the way, did you see the clip in the White House when Netanyahu was asked about the Mamdani threat to arrest him? And he said, I don't know if he said, please go watch this clip. I don't know if we have this clip. I don't think we have the clip. He's sitting opposite Trump and he goes, well, if I go to New York, I'll take President Trump with me. And he'll protect me. And Trump goes, we'll look after you. It was so embarrassing. It was so cringe. It was like my big brother will come to the playground with me to take on this 33-year-old Ugandan American who's threatened to arrest me.
You know what I really hate about our relationship with Israel, right? It is a very toxic relationship where we are the sugar daddy. We pay for everything and they make us their bitch. It is so humiliating.
Well, this time, he was in a much more deferential position looking for Trump's help. Look, if Mamdani wins...
Imagine two pedophiles going to Europe.
If Mamdani wins in November, that will be earth-shattering in many ways. Because to go back to your point, you made the point that they don't want anyone stepping out of line. The pro-Israel lobby, the military-industrial complex, the Republican Party, the Democratic establishment. And him winning will destroy every argument that has been given to us over the years that you can't run on a progressive populist platform, that you can't run against capitalism, you can't run against Israel in the most Jewish city in the world outside of Tel Aviv. All of those things will be shut down.
I am worried that they're going to sabotage his
mayoralty, for sure.
Yeah, I'm really worried.
Shameless plug. Please do go watch the interviews at teo.com. But I asked him that question because I agree with you. I think that just as we saw during the Cold War, where the United States would undermine elected governments, whether it's Allende in Chile or Mossadegh in Iran, they didn't want the threat of a good example, of someone doing something different to what the US wanted. I do think they'll do that in New York. We're already seeing Donald Trump saying, I think Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, said this week, he said, we're going to give billions to Argentina to bail out Milei, but if New York under Mamdani asks for a bailout, we'll say, drop dead.
No,
that's what Bessent said.
Yeah.
So they're going to deny federal funding. They're going to send troops for sure. And I think the Democratic Party are going to try and screw him as well.
Yeah,
and
they already are.
But the good thing is, he knows this, and he says he's ready for a fight. And I think winning will only be the first step.
I hope so.
Winning the election's only the first step. But I do think that the idea that the pro-Israel lobby, to go back to you actually, to go back to what you said earlier in the show, this idea of the inevitability and the invincibility of their power, I think will be broken in New York on November the 4th. I do think that.
I refuse to be hopeful.
I think this crowd is a hopeful crowd, because this crowd... And on that sycophantic note, would you like to come and ask us some questions?
Yes.
We are setting up some microphones. I can't see where they are, but they're on the sides.
There's a mic here and a mic there.
There's a mic here and a mic
Please
there.
walk.
So if you want to come up, we'll take one at a time.
Head to the mics. Head to the mics.
Head to the microphones.
Head to the mics.
Obviously,
may the best person wins.
No.
Fight for the mics.
We only have...
this is Hunger Games.
We have 22 minutes left. I would urge you not to give a speech.
Yes, give us short questions. A question is a one sentence ending in a question mark.
All right, let's go. First up.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I wish you guys best of luck in all that you do. One of your last comments was about how technology has both its pros and cons, that without it, we won't be able to witness the genocide in Gaza. But at the same time, it's like the biggest military playground. So it's like, yes, our ancestors fought with like a lot less, but the consequences was really just their death, and it wasn't just mutilation at such a large scale.
She's my girl.
She's your girl, but I didn't hear a question mark at the end.
I guess it turned more into a comment. So, how can we protest technology being used in a positive way when at the end of the day, social media is still benefiting and profiting off of genocide, but then we're using the same platform to post the genocide?
100%, and we're all in that sense, we're all complicit in that, right? You could talk about BDS and boycotting, but there are technology platforms and technology outlets and technologies that are very hard to escape from. And there's a great cartoon that often does the rounds about someone saying, "Well, I'm an anti-capitalist. I want to bring down capitalism." Ah, but you're participating in society. Yeah, we are. Like we have to deal with those kind of compromises. I would give a kind of old-fashioned, non-revolutionary, pretty mainstream social democratic answer, which is, you vote for politicians who get into office and then regulate big business. I know we've lost that concept in the United States of America over the last 40 years, but the idea the Democrats had power and did not use power to break up big tech. And now you see these sycophantic dinners with Zuckerberg and all of those guys surrounding, you saw the Donald Trump dinner recently where Zuckerberg just made up a number and then whispered, "Was that okay? Did I say up the right number?" That's an exact direct consequence of Biden and the Democrats in the Congress not listening to Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and others and breaking up big tech. None of these people should have so much power over our speech, over what we consume, over what we say. And I think Basim's right, that ability that they have to censor far outweighs even the government's power to censor right now.
We should actually divert Arab capitals in the United States and abroad into tech instead of vape shops.
That's the solution.
That's my 2 cents.
No vape shops, more big
no
tech
vape
from
shops,
Arabs.
big tech.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up, this side.
I'm here.
Okay.
Welcome to Dearborn, and we're glad to have you here, guys.
Lovely to be here.
And if you want a short question, you have to pay for it. Nothing for free.
Okay.
You're doing a great job, and I'm sure that you heard it numerous times that we would like to thank you. But really, really, you are impacting even younger generation. I'm talking about even my kids. Both of them are following.
Thank you.
Thank you.
أنت عامل الواجب وزيادة يا باسم الله.
حبيبي.
But the question is, would any of you, if received an invitation to perform in Israel, would you travel? And if yes, why? And if not, why?
No.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Wouldn't you be able to beat them and introduce your perspective in their homeland?
I'm not interested.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And by the way, just like to put that, even before the genocide, when I was still starting in stand-up comedy, 2017, 2018, 2019, my agents came to me. They said like, "Oh, it's going to be like an Arab-Israeli joint thing in Israel." Like, I don't want to go. Why? Because for so many reasons, but the simplest reason of them that I don't want to go through a checkpoint with a freaking IDF soldiers have to ask me questions. That's the only. That's like. So I don't want to even go there.
So I could give a slightly different answer. Because I don't perform, right? I'm not a brilliant stand-up comic like Basim. I'm a journalist.
Speak.
So
how about like you speak there? Like you give a keynote speech?
I don't think I do a keynote speech, but I'd like to do journalism there. Somebody asked me yesterday, are you going to go to Israel?
Journalism is different.
So yeah, I would. I mean, I'd love for them to let me in and go do something. I don't know how safe it would be for me. I'd love to do an interview with Benjamin Netanyahu. I'd love to see how that worked out. But I don't think. I hope you're booing him and not my interviews. But that's a different situation.
It would be better than the Nelk Boys interview.
That's the Nelk Boys. You did a very good job of. That was very funny when you told
That was
them.
in detention.
So I think it's a very different situation. But I think a lot of these things come down to, there's a big debate right now, as you know, amongst comedians, whether comedians should be performing in Saudi Arabia, right? Dave Chappelle and others are getting criticized for going to Saudi Arabia. So there's always a debate about that, where you go, what you do, what you give your image to. And I think in general, there should be some general principles. On the other hand, everyone has to work out what they're willing to tolerate, what they're willing to compromise on, what their end goal is. I do think I'm all for supporting boycotts and supporting sanctions and supporting all sorts of things. What I'm not a fan of, I think we've become a little censorious in the sense that we judge everyone as if we know what is in everyone's hearts and minds. And sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes people are doing something that you may not know what's going on behind the scenes. That's why I would just say.
Actually, yesterday I was telling Mehdi, I was in a podcast and I was asked about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. What do you think of all of those comedians going whitewashing the regime? I said, listen, after 2 years of genocide, America has lost the moral ground to tell people where to go.
That's true.
That's true. What you can say whatever you want about Saudi Arabia, but America has inflicted much more evil, much more death on the world, not just in Palestine. So if you gotta boycott Saudi Arabia, you could also boycott America. So you can't really do that kind of comparison.
Thank you for being the voice of justice. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Gentleman here.
Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Halim. I'm a local Palestinian American journalist here and research analyst. The question I have to you guys is, well, first as a comment and a question, is that I want to give you guys some optimism in that we're actually not powerless. The tides are turning, and I think it's important that we execute upon that. And I believe that the way to do that is by using independent media platforms to advocate for sanctions against Israeli human rights abusers and entities that fund abuses against Palestinians. And one question that I have is, how would you guys be able to use your platform to amplify that message? And secondly, I am a research analyst that identifies violent brigades in the IDF to push for sanctions. And I was wondering if you guys would be interested in possibly collaborating so that we could bring justice to Palestinians.
That's like a collaboration.
Does multiple things.
Nice.
I'll just answer your question, which is, yes, I agree with you. Independent journalism does allow us to advocate for these things. I love the fact that I run a media company where I don't have to look over my shoulder and worry what someone in a boardroom is saying, or what someone in a standards department is saying, or what some advertiser is saying, or sponsor is saying. I don't have to worry about that because I'm funded by all of you. Zeteo is funded by actually our subscribers, 50,000 paid, 500,000 free. So we don't have to worry about that, and therefore we can platform voices who can say stuff that can't be said on cable or network news. Just last week, I had the actual Hulk, not the freak from Jubilee, the actual Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, came on the show, and he said, boycott, sanction, divest from Israel and punish Israel. That is an A-list Hollywood star openly saying sanction Israel. We talk a lot about boycotting Israel. Yeah. Boycotts are important, but way more important are sanctions, because sanctions are done by governments, right? And that is what the S in BDS is the most important part of BDS.
Yeah, absolutely.
And therefore, when you have a Mark Ruffalo saying we need to sanction Israel, I hope that has an effect.
Thank you.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Uthman Ali Lansi. I'm a candidate for Dearborn City Council. My question is, thank you. My question is, how can we rebuild trust between the residents and the local government? Like, I've had people who I tried to get to vote for me, and they're like, no, the system is broken. You guys are all the same. You know where I'm going with this. So they've lost trust in the system unfortunately, because of our foreign policy. So how can we rebuild that trust?
That question is for Mehdi. He has all the hope.
I don't have all... Look, there's no simple answer to that question. This is decades-long damage. When we talk about trust in the system, we're not just talking about Gaza. We're talking about the financial crisis. We're talking about the Iraq war. I'm old enough to remember 2003 when we were told there were WMDs in Iraq, right? So there's been lies told by politicians and the media and establishment for a long time. And a lot of people on the right have weaponized that, especially after COVID and the pandemic and the general lack of trust and expertise. It's not something that's going to be solved overnight. I do think for local politicians such as yourself, the key point is, if and when you get elected, you have to deliver on what you say. I think the people are so upset about the fact that there's no delivery. Everyone talks a good game, but do you actually deliver for your constituents? And that applies at a national level, that applies at a local level. And at a local level, I do think it's about building grassroots movements. My friend Kat Abu Ghazaleh, who's a Palestinian American running for Congress in Illinois, in Chicago, you watch her videos right now. She just got thrown to the ground by an ICE agent, physically thrown. She's a small woman, thrown to the ground, right? She's out there building a movement. She's not just running for office. She's building a movement on the ground to resist deportations, to resist racism, to resist this kind of tyranny. And I think that is key.
Thank you.
Okay. By the way, big shout out to Cheng from Young Turks, like one of the amazing platforms.
Godfather of independent media,
Yes.
launched the first progressive show on YouTube.
Yes, yes.
So yes, we all follow in his footsteps.
Yes. Today, you and Mehdi are honorable Arabs. We gave you the citizenship.
The Turk and the Indian.
Yeah, the Turk. I don't know what to do with it, but yeah.
But the Turk and the Indian, we have better food than all of you.
Oh, fuck you! Fuck you! This is gonna be okay. Cancel your subscriptions from Zeteo right now.
I literally went against the first chapter of my book is win over the audience. Don't do anything to upset the audience. But I love my biryani so much I had to stand for it. Yes, Hyderabadi biryani. Hyderabadi biryani. What are you doing? Don't pretend you don't love Indian food. All right, gentlemen there, we're running out of time.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. My name is Mo Hamza. I'm Palestinian American.
Popular guy.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I wanted to thank you guys for being masterful wordsmiths when dismantling some of the stupidest people I've personally ever seen on TV. But this is a question directly to you, Mehdi, and please don't take this the wrong way. I just want to be as direct as humanly possible. So I think I'm speaking for Palestinians in my community, whether it be friends or family. I personally love when you dismantle and ruin people on television. You have the best points, best facts, easily. But the one thing that irks us the most is when sometimes you start off by saying, I condemn October 7th, or I condemn Hamas, and then you go on to your points to completely systematically break them down. So I'm genuinely saying this directly as a Palestinian, because I know a lot of folks whether it be here or people that I know personally that are Palestinian, would you ever get to the point, given everything that we've seen, say, look people like peers in the eyes and say, no, I do not condemn a resistance that is resisting for their freedom?
So, it's a great question. It's a great question. So, I'm sorry to have to question the premise of your question, though, but I haven't done what you think I've done. You'd have to sit down with me. In fact, when I went on Piers Morgan for the first time, I went after Bاسم, because I was still at MSNBC when Bاسم did his famous viral 20 million clip. And then I left MSNBC and I was able to do interviews, and he was one of the first people to say, come on, come on. And I went on, having seen the condemn Hamas, ready for that question. And I had my own answer for it. He never even asked me that question. Till this day, I've been on that show about a dozen times, and I don't think he's asked me that question. So no, I don't think I do that. I don't. In fact, I do, of course I support Palestinian right to resist. Every occupied people has a right to resist occupation. That is legal, that is moral, that is everything. But I do think we can't, you said to me, sorry if this irks you, I'll say it back to you, sorry if this irks you. A right to resist doesn't mean you have a right to do anything you want, right? I believe in international law. I don't want to be a hypocrite. When I condemn Israel for violating the Geneva Conventions, when I cite Human Rights Watch and Amnesty Watch reports when I'm dismantling these people, I believe it. I'm not just doing it for show or to score a point. I genuinely believe in these legal principles, in these moral principles. And I'm a Muslim, right? So I remember after October 7th, someone messaged me, I won't say their name, and they messaged me and they said, you know what, you're a complete sellout. You are okay with all of this. And I said, no, I just don't think that part of Palestinian liberation involves killing people in kibbutzim. I don't believe that, and I don't believe you should ever target civilians. And they said, have you never heard of the Haitian Revolution? And I said, I'm not Haitian, I'm Muslim. Right? I don't take my moral values from any political group, social movement. I don't care how anti-imperialist you are. I don't believe ever that anyone has the right to kill civilians. If that excommunicates me from any group, I'll take my chances, because hold on, let me just finish my point. So I do believe in a right to resist, but it has to be against combatants. If you're killing combatants, I'm never going to criticize that. You have every right to kill combatants, and the right to resistance is there for the Palestinian people. But look, this idea that I just want to get this clear. Obviously, Piers Morgan and people like him, when they ask this question, are doing it in bad faith. Obviously, they're doing it to try and justify a genocide that has no justification. But that doesn't mean that we go to the other extreme and therefore say that anything is allowed, or that I will excuse anything in the name of Palestinian liberation. I won't. So if that gets me, if people are upset with me for that, there's nothing really I can do about it.
I completely get it. And some people have a different definition for civilian.
Can I just add on this?
Fair enough.
No, by the way, because I also want to Piers Morgan to say, like, and I said that I did it for a different reason. I did it as a debate tactic, and I'll tell you how I did it. Because the thing is, they always want to hold the interview at, do you condemn Hamas? Mm-hmm. Once you go into this, and I've seen this happen many times. Mm-hmm. And remember, like when I went to, when the second thing, this was the whole thing of the shock and awe was like very huge. So I was not talking to our people. I was talking to people who didn't know anything. If I give any more minute, it's like, do you condemn? Yes. Terrorist group? Yes. We're gone. This is done. Because I wanted to have as much real estate as possible to discuss other things. The problem is we are already in an unfair game. And it's, maybe he says it for his reasons. I say it for a debate tactic. Because I just want to get over this, because I have seen interviews just stall, and then suddenly the whole interview is eaten up by, is Hamas is terrorist? Do we condemn? What happened October 7th? It was that rape. And then suddenly the bigger picture is gone. And I've seen them sabotage interviews one by one like this. So I might not be as outspoken or I was like eloquent as Mehdi, but I don't have the same information that he does. But the thing is, I go in, I have certain points that I want to deliver, and I want to get this out of the way. And I know it's very emotional to say it, but I just need to drive many more points that I think it's more important for the people who don't know anything about the conflict. That's my point.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for your question. Let's take the next one.
Assalamu alaikum. Pleasure to meet you both. My name is Hind Omar, and I'm a Palestinian, and I work in politics in the state of Michigan. I have a quick question. So our community was really tested and fractured during this last election. And going back to your initial conversation about celebrating and accepting the crumbs versus rejecting them and not, our community was really fractured in terms of approach, of who kind of navigates themselves within the system to change it, to fight for those crumbs and see them as progress, versus those who work outside of it to change it. And so my question is, how do we work as a community to stay united in our moral principle and mission on behalf of Palestinians, Lebanese, Yemeni, et cetera, while having different approaches in how we go about it and our vicinities to power? Secondly, Mehdi, I would challenge you on what you just said about combatants when Israel has a draft of citizens that are trained combatants. That's it.
Yeah, so I just need to deal with this. I'm fully aware that Israel has a national draft, but this is not the venue for it, so I'm not going to get into a debate about kind of morality and ethics and just war. But even if you're a soldier, if you're in a nightclub with no weapon in your hand, you cannot be killed, not in my worldview. I don't think you can kill people who are not posing a direct threat to you in that moment. So we're going to have to agree to disagree on that. It's not that I don't disagree that Israelis are also conscripted into the military. It's that even when you're facing a military, there are laws of war. I don't understand how we can condemn other people for not following. Okay. I don't base my view of the world on what other people do. The fact that they are violating laws and morality doesn't mean I'm going to do it for nobody. Not for you, not for anyone. Let me answer your question though. In terms of the unity point, right? I 100% agree with you. Like, I was at an event the other day, and I was at an event in California, and the last Q&A was, it was a Muslim event, and the last speaker said, it was all about fascism. And I spent the whole time talking about civil liberties and the threat we face, and the last speaker was, but brother, what do we do about the LGBTQ community? And I said, first of all, I'm not an Islamic scholar. You could talk to Muslim scholars about that. But my bigger point was like, do you understand what we're up against right now? Like, I spend my entire life begging people to look at the bigger picture. As Bاسم said earlier, we are facing fascism here at home. There is a genocide going on abroad. The fact that we are arguing and fighting over some of these irrelevant, small issues that can be parked for another day is absolutely kills me. I see people in our community spend more time on Instagram attacking other people in the movement rather than Zionists or Republicans or racists or Islamophobes. And just my last point in response to your question is, I used to be the guy who went around saying, the Ummah, unity. I don't care anymore. I don't care if you're not united with me or not. I just care about principles and goals. If we're all working towards the same end, I don't care if you hate me. As long as we're all working towards the same end, I don't care, to be honest. Gentlemen there.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amir, and I'm also Palestinian from Brooklyn, New York. And my question for you, basically, Jimmy Kimmel got canned recently, or got unfired. He's back now, yeah. But as that happened, Disney stock went down and like $11 billion are lost, which was like a beautiful example of how BDS could work. Yeah. Why doesn't BDS work the same way as it did with Jimmy Kimmel for other companies?
Because that was not BDS.
It wasn't BDS.
Israel was an issue, right? This is the problem we have in this country, and this is a huge problem for our liberal friends, which is that there is what's called, as I said earlier, PEP, right? There are people who have such strong moral and ethical views on human equality, on human rights, on human dignity, on standing with minority communities, on fighting racism, except when you get to Palestine. There is a Palestine exception where Palestinians are not seen as equal people or not important to the conversation, as something distant, far away, and irrelevant. And so you have this situation where the same people who will go nuts at Disney, as you say, or ABC for what they did to Kimmel, will go and say, let's boycott. When it comes to issues related to Palestine and genocide, will not do the same thing. And it kills me. It's half of my professional career. It infuriates me that this is happening in plain sight, that I will meet some of the best people who have the best positions on everything until you get to this one issue, where then it becomes caveated, an asterisk. People express qualms, not the same thing. And the hypocrisy, by the way, when it comes to boycotts, liberals they boycotted Mike Pence's Indiana when Mike Pence was being anti-gay. But then they say, oh, but you can't boycott Palestine. They passed, 30 states have passed anti-BDS laws. So there's a hypocrisy that we need to point out. But as you point out, there's also an efficacy. right? For people who say boycotts don't work, not true. I'm not saying it was the only reason that ABC brought back Kimmel, but clearly public pressure and financial harm played a role in that, for sure.
Well, I guess following up on that, like, what would it take for BDS to gain that same momentum? Do you guys think, is it possible for that momentum to kind of be strengthened, or no?
I think we're seeing that momentum right now. I mean, it's taking time. I know it's not fast enough for my good friend here on the right, but it's getting there. It's getting there slowly. We're seeing churches divesting. The whole college protest was because some colleges said, oh, we might think about it. Obviously, we didn't get there, but we got to keep pushing at that door. I do believe we're in a different place now, where you do have Hollywood stars and you do have politicians now talking about sanctioning Israel, weapons. Again, we're nowhere near. Basim's right. We're nowhere near to where we need to be. And people are making small concessions. But we have to keep pushing.
Yeah, I think we're out of time.
We got time for one more. Last question.
Hi, my name is Tony Kuteli. I'm Palestinian Lebanese American. I just wanted to, first of all, say, Basim, I know we all love you, but Mehdi, we love you too. And Zeteo is some of the best money I've spent in years. Everybody should go and subscribe.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to just ask you guys your opinion, because we've been talking about Hollywood. Mehdi, you just kind of touched on this. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but today I read in Variety that there was another letter that came out signed by thousands of other actors, including Deborah Messing and Liev Schreiber and a couple other people, who are begging the people who signed the letter, the pro-Palestinian letter, telling them this is a shame and you guys shouldn't be supporting the anti-Semitic.
We're out of time, so if you've got a question, we got to go.
So my point is, if you guys, I mean, you were saying that you see the tide turning, and when I think about South African apartheid, it seems to me that in the 80s, the tide really turned when entertainment started bringing everything out into the light. You're kind of making that point. Do you see that as this is a fundamental shift, or do you, in the pessimistic way, say, nah, it's kind of...
Let Basim go first and I'll go after.
I don't have a lot of hope about this.
But do you acknowledge the shift in Hollywood?
I understand it's a shift, but the thing is, they said they're not going to work with Israeli companies. The problem is that even our American production companies, they're all pro-Israeli. So would they do that? And I don't know, because most of the propaganda comes from the United States anyway. So I'm not very optimistic.
I totally get your analysis, Basim, but I'll tell you what, the difference, I saw the standing ovation that the Hind Rajab movie got at the Venice Film Festival, and something stirred in me. That epic 28 minutes or whatever it was, that for me was a moment. And it's funny, this counter list that came out. Can I just say, like, on one list, you've got Mark Ruffalo and Ava DuVernay and Emma Stone. And on the other list, you've got like the host of Jeopardy and some washed out actress from Will and Grace. I'm like, really? Just on, forget the political merits, just on the artistic merits.
That's what they do. They need to make you think that even genocide is an opinion.
Yeah.
There's no two-sided. There's always about two-sided.
By the way, the best part of that letter, it's such a classic victimization letter. The part of the letter where they say, basically they go, well, you're picking on all of us, and it's really anti-Semitic, and you're going after Jews. It's collective punishment. I'm like, this is what you finally decided is collective punishment after 2 years of actual collective punishment of people in one space? Like, anyways, I think Hollywood changing will be a big moment. I think when you reach, I've wrote a book about persuasion and argument. You don't change people through facts and figures. You don't change people through op-eds. You change people through hearts. You change people here. You change people with emotion, with narrative, with storytelling. And I think we are hopefully going to get to that point where we can win that argument in that way, through getting through to people's hearts and minds. And I am insisting on ending this show on a hopeful note by saying we will get through to people, and that we will change hearts and minds, and that in the heart of empire, in the heart of Hollywood, those people will come. You know what Mandela said? It's impossible until it's done.
Well, he died. Thank you very much.
Let me say this. I gotta say this. Two things. One is, please do subscribe to Zeteo. Check out We're Not Kidding. Get podcasts wherever they drop. Basim, where can people find you next?
Oh, by the way, I'm starting my tour, The Belly of the Beast. First stop, 24th of October, North Carolina, Durham. Tell all your friends. All right. Tempe, Arizona, San Antonio, and Irvine in Christmas weekend. So, yeah. Thank you.
I'm Mehdى Hassan.
And I'm Basim Yusuf.
And we were not kidding.
We were not.
We were not. Thank you very much.